Okay, my friends, this is going to be pretty deep. This is Chat GPT, and I asked, what does God mean by the elect? In religious context, particularly in Christianity, the elect generally refers to those individuals chosen by God for salvation or for a special purpose. This concept is often rooted in biblical passages that speak of God's sovereign choice and grace. Different denominations interpret the elect in various ways. For example, Calvinism views the elect as those predestined for salvation, emphasizing God's sovereignty in the process. Then you have Arminianism, suggests that, well, God knows who will choose him. So he knows who's going to choose God. The individuals that still have free will to accept or reject his grace. So even though you may choose him, yeah, it's just too much, I'm going to do something else. And that's free will. You can take it or reject it. The term can also be found in discussions of community or faithful followers in other contexts. Overall, listen to this now, this is the key. Overall, in summary more or less, it highlights a sense of being chosen or called by God for a particular role or destiny. All right? Overall, it highlights a sense of being chosen or called by God for a particular role or destiny. All right? And then he says, Chat says, if you want to see more, ask some more specific. That's enough. That'll do. Okay, ever since I've been on this journey, I have just been inundated with different verses that come through history that talk exactly about what's going on. Being chosen. Listen to this. 1 Corinthians 1:26. Brothers, consider the time of your calling. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were powerful. Not many were of noble birth. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. He chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. He chose the lowly and despised things of the world and the things that are not to nullify the things that are. That is a calling, my friends. And that was called to me 15 years ago. I woke up in the morning, I said to my wife, there's something in the woods calling my name. That's just an absolute fact. I got up before long, not that same day, but I kept searching, and I found giant human beings. I had them DNA tested, CAT scan, bits and pieces, and the whole 9 yards. It was true. And nothing but giant human beings. This is true. And I found it also, as I started unfolding this, when I came back, immediately as I started searching on giants, it came up, these things are for you to see and for others as a test. And blew me away. I gave the test, nobody passed. For years and years and years. And I was in despair. One day, about 5 years later, this goes back about 10 years ago, and I was in despair, and I literally called out, God, I can't do this. You got the wrong guy. It's not going to happen. Nobody will listen to me. They think I'm an idiot. I'm sitting here all by myself for the last several years, and not a single person in the world will talk to me about this. Literally, that's just a fact. And I heard from behind me, look in Morocco. And that's when I looked in Morocco, I find a giant and a fish, and then I find a text about it, and how Ares turned himself into a fish, and Typhon attacked him, and it's all written out in the ancient text. Even on maps, it shows Typhon laying right across the desert with his throat cut. And they knew all about this. And for some reason, I can pretty much believe the reason is that there's some just terribly bad people that are in charge of things and don't want you to know the truth. It's the only thing I can come up with. So let's find out about the elect. There's people that are the elect, and there's people that are, they're just in big trouble. So if you want to be part of the elect, you're going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to start searching. You think I'm wrong? This is the map from 1375. This is North Africa. What do you see right here? That's Typhon. That's a dragon. Goes all the way across North Africa. There's his throat cut right there. all the way across North Africa, and there's this tail flared out way at the end. They knew about these things, and they were covered up. All of the ancient giants, bones, and all that stuff, and they're gone. I don't know what happened to them, but they were everywhere at one point in time. And all of a sudden, everything's missing. They don't think any of that stuff. And that's another thing that was. Hold on one second. Let me read you another text. This is what I've been railing against: is false teachers. They know they're wrong, and they don't care. And they don't care because they want to suppress God and Jesus Christ. They don't want you going that route. They want to take you to where they're going, and it's not going to be good. This is 2 Peter 2, false teachers and their destruction. Now, this is talking about way back then. They said, there were also false prophets among the people way back then, just as there will be false teachers among you, which they're literally not at all false. They will secretly introduce destructive heresy. Don't ever talk about God. There is no such thing. Jesus Christ is all a big joke. They're trying to play on you to take over your mind. Just the opposite. They've taken your mind and destroyed your eternity. They will secretly introduce destructive heresy, even denying the sovereign Lord who bought them with his own life, and they will bring swift destruction on themselves. Many will follow their depraved conduct. These are the students, and will bring the way of truth into disrepute. You got that right. In their greed for fame and fortune and superiority, these teachers will exploit you with fabricated stories. That's all that exists now, is fabricated lies. Their condemnation has long been hanging over them, and their destruction has not been sleeping. This is eternity. This is not something that's just a joke. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. 3 John 1:4. Titus 1:16, they claim to know God, but by their actions they deny him. They are detestable, disobedient, and unfit for doing anything good. This is not good. Things are not good right now. And we are being told things that they know is not true. They just absolutely know it's not true. So what do? You believe your teachers now about everything, or do you want to look for yourself? Because if you don't look for yourself, you're just being a fool. Listen to this. And this is what the teachers are doing. They're telling the students to shut up. And this is what happened to Christ. This is Luke 19:40. As he approached his descent from the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of disciples began to praise God joyfully in a loud voice for all the miracles they had seen. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest. And they're all screaming and having a good time. And the Pharisees, some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, Teacher, rebuke your disciples. Tell them to shut up. And Jesus said, I tell you, he answered, if they remain silent, the very stones will cry out. And they have been screaming, my friends. Okay, my friends, this is going to be kind of interesting. This just fell in my lap and at a very interesting time in my life. Now, as everyone knows, I talk about light a lot. And as I find, light is the source of all matter. I call it atomic vapor. And Jesus Christ said, we come from the light. We are its children. We are the children of the light. That's where we come from. And it's very clear that we come from the light and we return to the light when we discard our material body, which is an obstacle to our advancing. As crazy as it sounds, your spiritual realm is more important than your material existence. Which points to me the fact that's pretty obvious. If you just go after the money, that's the material existence. If you go after the knowledge, understanding, try to find out what is life all about, what's it for? I think it's to learn and use this physical body as a research laboratory. But basically, that's the way I see it. Now I'm going to read to this, because when I talk about light, there's light everywhere. Is it alive? We're alive. It appears to me we're the chosen particles to become life. You don't just become life automatically, like everything here floating around is life. Although it might be. I at this point, there's so much that's up in the air. However, I do know that we have literally been misled, and I see it's not just an accident. It's just not an accident. We're being misled for a lot of different reasons. Primarily, it's to keep the status and position and the money flowing. Basically, and it's all almost always boils down to money and status and ego and power. So I'm going to read you this. This just fell in my lap, and like I said, very, very strange time in my life to have this come to me, and I'm pretty thankful for it. And I think you'll find something in it. Hopefully, that'll make you understand we're chosen. We're not just an accident. And this is it's not really a free ride. You can treat it as a free ride, and you see what happens. I don't know. At this point, I don't know anymore. All I can tell you is nothing that I have heard from any source I am going to put 100% faith in. And don't put 100% faith in me either, because I don't know. All I know is I can show evidence of this and evidence of that and evidence of the other thing. I can show ancient texts. And then after that, it's all on you, my friends. You know, I will probably speak about my thinking at this point. And it has evolved. Everything evolves. It doesn't just stay natural. You know, if you stuck on one narrative, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. I don't want, and I hear this all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. No evidence can even have them. Their eyes don't open, their ears don't open, and all of that was written about too. And as a matter of fact, it just came up about how, you know, they refuse to look, they refuse to see, and wise men never got to see what you can see, and you're not even looking at it, something like that. I should probably read it to you. Hold on a second. Okay, my friends, here we go. I have been speaking about light, and that we come from the light, and Jesus said that. He said, if they ask you where we came from, you tell them we came from the light. We are its children. We are the children of the light. That's Jesus Christ's words, not mine. However, I concur. And I say that everything, 100% of everything, is made from particles of light, the two little bits and pieces, the black part and the white part. The two of them together make every single thing there is. And we are made out of light. We are alive. How did that happen? Is this air? Air is made out of light too. Everything, all the particles, every single bit of matter is made from the particles that make up light. And they're just in different masses. Big balls, small balls, 2 balls together, 6 balls together. That's matter, that's molecules. That's God's building blocks. Well, guess what? We are alive when all these other things are laying around. And I don't think they're alive. I don't think that TV screen there or whatever, monitor is alive. But we were chosen and selected, chosen and handpicked as the elect by God. Somehow our little particles came together as a spirit. I cannot explain that. I cannot explain God. I cannot explain creation. There's a million things I can't explain. There's a few things I can. And one of them is the nature of matter, and it is dipoles. It's called dipole electron flood theory. And this is it right here. It changes everything. There's not just one positive core and a couple of little floating things around, a gigantic core and a couple of little dots out there. No. It's an equal number of dark particles and white particles, and the white always surrounds the dark. We never see it because the white is the only thing that bounces back. And even physics says it. Dark matter doesn't absorb, it doesn't reflect, it doesn't emit, it doesn't do anything. What it does is push. And sometimes it pushes, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just sits stationary. But it's motion and repose. Repose means just laying around. Emotion means it's doing work. It's energy at that point. And the only two particles that exist in the universe are these two, the white one and the black one. And together they attach as what we normally call an electron, but it's a dipole. It's not just an electron. It's got the black side too. These two together, back to back, make up light. And they have a field surrounding the whole thing, so they don't want to join in with anything because they're stable. They bounce. They bounce around. You send out light, it bounces back. We're seeing all kinds of different colors. Why would you see different colors? It's the same light hitting things. Well, the reason is a different molecular exchange when it hits. I can get deep if you want, but I'm not gonna. The whole thing changes a lot in science. It changes about space and science and the redshift, chemistry, periodic table, and physics and the subatomic model. Everything. Everything changes, 100%. So that's why it's hard to get this to be spoken about, because there is no way to dismiss this. I have the physical evidence to support the things I say about the atom, about the protons, about the dipole electrons. We used light. So we didn't start with these big bobs. We started like this. So here's what they did. They took huge protons, like this. This is maybe like a proton. And they smash them together, and they got all kinds of debris, and they dig through it and try to find little bits. This is what they want to find. Well, we started with that. We started with two of these together, back to back. And all they are is little glued together dipoles. And exactly like we see, no difference whatsoever, only they're smaller. And then as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, at a certain number, 1823 or 1839, it's in that area somewhere, they lock in stable and they become a proton. And that seems to be the building block. And every time you add another 1839, it makes another proton, or 1823, whatever it is. But they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they go and they grab onto another guy. So like you got two of these balls going around. And this one wants to give up a couple of electrons, and this one needs a couple to become stable. They come over, and these two come over, and they jump right over here, and they say, how about that? Can we do that? They say, yeah, no problem. You hang out to me, we'll hang out to you, and we'll just go about life doing what we're supposed to do as this molecule. Before they were atoms, not a molecule. And then another one can come over here and grab them, another one over here, and then 20 over here and 30 over here. And in transition metals, they call them ligands, and they surround the metal core. All right, I'm sorry, I can't help myself. But that's how metals move things in your body. The central core is a metal, and then it has a whole batch of little things around it that can latch onto different bits and pieces. As it goes through your body, it says, hey, anybody need a couple of these? I say, yeah, I give you 2 electrons, you give me 2 of those. Okay, that done. And it goes, by the time it gets done, it hits the veins, everything's used up. And then it goes back and it recharges all these little spots that want different bits and pieces that your body needs. That's how blood moves product in your body. It's like Amazon of your body is blood. You know, this is crazy. I mentioned Amazon being the delivery agent and blood is the delivery agent. Well, I'll tell you what, Amazon is fast, man. It's unbelievable. You order it, it's right there. But guess what? This has a 4-minute window. Blood, in 4 minutes, you don't get it, you're done. So you better have a good delivery device, which is your heart. Okay, this is going to turn out to be kind of interesting. What I'm going to do is read to you a bunch of quotes that I have collected over the course of time doing this. Now, before I start, I want you to understand, I was never, ever, even the tiniest bit religious. I thought people that believed in Jesus and God and all this mystical stuff were just absolutely crazy. And that's just the truth. That's how I felt. Well, now I realize who was crazy. It was me. Those people were enlightened. They were smart. They understood that this just doesn't happen for nothing and you just turn back into dust. That's what I thought. Yeah, you just live, you die, case closed, have a good time, enjoy your life. No. I don't say don't enjoy your life, but I say it's not over when it's over. There is no over. Now, the phrase I was talking about is right here. Somewhere. I got a lot of them. Hold on one second. All right, now I got them not only for the Christian side, I've got them for the Islam and all that. I study everything. I study the Gnostics, I study the ancient mythologies, the Bible. Now I study all that stuff. Before, I looked into the mythologies. I thought it was kind of interesting and funny. And how the hell did they come up with this insane stuff? Miles tall giants and dragons and, you know, but it's all true. That was just true, and I have shown it's true. So nobody can stand up against me. Not a single person can stand up in front of me and say, Roger, you're wrong, and here's why. Because I can say, no, I'm right, and here's the proof. So here's what it says right here. And almost all of this stuff has shown to be true. Matthew 13:16, the purpose of Jesus' parables. In them, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled. Prophecies are forecasts. They say, here, this is what's going to happen. It says, you will be, and it's talking about us, you will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. And they're talking about academics. For this, people's heart has grown callous. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes, and they become bitter. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes, because they see, and your ears, because they hear. These are the Mudfossil people. For truly, I tell you, many prophets and righteous men longed to see what you see right now, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. That is strong words, very strong words. And I have found literally all this stuff to be true, and I mean, I got a lot of it. Look at this. It goes on and on. These are all different phrases. And they just popped up here and there over the course of time. I mean, this goes on for a while here. I'll read you some of these. It's just fascinating what's turned out to be true. Hold on a second. Wow. I haven't looked at this in a long time. I've been recording all of the different phrases that come across that mean something to me since I made my discoveries. Listen to this. This is the one about not hearing and not seeing. It says, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, why do you speak to the people in parables? You know, just crazy sounding phrases. The knowledge of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more. And he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, all right, this is about faith and being grown to be harvested with the good stuff instead of thrown in the fire and burnt. And that's the two sides of this. Listen to this. The disciples came to Jesus and asked, why do you speak to the people in parables? The knowledge of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more, faith basically, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have faith, even what he has will be taken away from him. Though seeing they do not see, hearing they do not hear, understand. In them the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled. You will be ever hearing but never understanding. You will be ever seeing but never perceiving. It's all about mud fossils and about what's right in front of your face. Blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I tell you, the many prophets and righteous men long to see what you are seeing, but did not see it, and to hear what you are hearing, and did not hear it. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed. He spread good seed out in his field. While everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat. Sowed weeds. He started to turn them against their own kind, basically. And then he slipped away. When the wheat sprouted and bore grain, the weeds also sprouted. It all big a mess. The owner's servants came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in the field? Where then did the weeds come from? Who planted these weeds? He said, an enemy did this, he replied. His servants asked, do you want us to go and pull them up, the weeds? He says, no, for if you pull the weeds now, you might uproot the good stuff, the wheat. You uproot them with it. Let both of them grow together until harvest. So let the good and the bad just sort of coexist until harvest time. At thy time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the bad ones, the weeds. Tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat into my barn. Truly, truly, I tell you, we speak of what we know, and we testify to what we have seen. And yet you people do not accept our testimony. They're telling them the truth. They don't accept it. If I have told you about earthly things and you do not believe, how will you believe if I tell you about heavenly things? They don't believe even the stuff they see. They don't believe it's a bone. They say that's a rock. How are you going to believe about heaven? How are you going to believe about God? Don't even believe what's in front of your own face. And that's the academics. Those are the people that are teaching. They slipped in among the good people and convert them, said, don't believe in God. God, forget that stuff. And if you go to any academic institution, you start talking about God, you are instantly an outcast. And that's exactly what this is talking about. And wait till you hear the rest of it. They talk about false teachers. It's just horrifying. Now, it goes on. It says, if I tell you about the heavenly things, you're never going to think about it. No one has ascended into heaven except the one who has descended from heaven, the Son of Man. There was silence. Not one dared to say a word. They were aware of what he was saying and were dumbfounded. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowds in parables. He did not tell them anything without using a parable. So he's sort of confusing them and enlightening them at the same time. So was fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the foundation of the world. And that's what's happening right now. That's an absolute fact. The stuff that's coming out now, nobody has, even throughout history, all the way back, nobody's known about it. Except maybe the people right in the very, very beginning. Now it says, the righteous hate what is false, but the wicked make themselves a stench and bring shame on themselves. For the time will come when men will not tolerate sound doctrine. Right now, they don't tolerate it. With itching ears, they will gather around themselves teachers to suit their own desires. Anything they want to say, okay, you're the teacher, teach me this exact same thing and you're okay. Anybody speaks up against it, put them out in the woods. They will turn their ears away from truth and turn aside to myths. Well, not to myths. They'll turn aside to the enlightenment of the academics. And then it will mainstream science men with titles proving false to their teachings. You hear this? Mainstream science men with titles proving false to their teachings. They're not teaching the truth. This goes on and on and on. I've got so many things in here and every one of them backs up exactly what I have found. And I go through the legends of the Jews and the Hebrews and the 7 tablets, the history of creation and the chemistry about Jesus. I did videos on most all of this stuff. And Here's one right here, Luke 19:40. And as he approached the descent from the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of disciples began to praise God joyfully in a loud voice for all the miracles they had seen that Jesus did. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest. But some of the Pharisees in the crowd, those are the religious teachers, now they would be considered the academic PhDs. Most of the PhDs in the crowd said to him, Teacher, rebuke your disciples, tell them to shut up. And Jesus said, I tell you, he answered, if they remain silent, the very stones will cry out, and they have, in the most loud, boisterous way. And then he says, well, he goes on and on and on. I mean, it's just insane. And the things that they talk about, the problems with the teachers, yikes. Here's one here. See what is in front of you. Jesus said, recognize what is in front of your sight, a foot. And that which is hidden from you will become plain to you. For there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest. And then there's another one somewhere that says there's nothing buried that will not be dug up or something like that. This is a test. This is a test. This is Hebrews. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And I'll tell you, it's hard not to grow weary and lose heart. Okay, my outstanding friends, these are agates, and some of them come extremely, very, very... Okay, my friends, I am about to show you something stunning. Now, I want you to think about it. Think about how it may have formed.